Good morning, beautiful friends. Or it's almost 4 p.m. where I am. I don't know why I said good morning. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night, depending on where you are and when you're watching this. Oh, we're already there. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you're returning. For those of you who are new to me, my name is Sarah. I'm a certified life and business coach, and I help heart centered service providers, spiritual practitioners, and creatives build the lives and businesses of their dreams. I'm going live every day in January to talk about all things related to goal setting, reaching your goals, achieving your New Year's intentions and resolutions. And this topic is not the topic I thought I was going to come live with today. It's just what's present. And it might ramble a little bit for me to like lock into what the message is that I'm really trying to convey. So hang with me. But I just had a session with a client that was really profound and really valuable. And it led me to want to share some of what we talked about here. So a lot of times when we have a goal, an idealized future state, right? There's a version of yourself that you can envision in the future, the version of yourself that runs and owns a successful company, the version of yourself that has reached all of your fitness goals, the version of yourself that's in the relationship that you want to be in, the version of yourself who is living the life that you would like to be living, but you're not living it right now. There's a gap, right? And so a lot of the goals that we set are about moving ourselves in the direction of the life that we want to be living, the outcomes that we'd like to see, because we believe that those outcomes will make us happy, will make us feel fulfilled, will make us feel more complete, will lead to a greater sense of like purpose and accomplishment. And all of those things are wonderful and valuable and good. So we're there. You have something that you want. And then there's what you're doing right now, the behaviors that got you to your current reality. And there's another video I did recently about how to tell what you're manifesting, where I talked about that. You're currently living in the result of the manifestation you've done up to this point. Whether it was intentional or not, we're never not manifesting. We're either doing it intentionally or unintentionally. So the thoughts you've been thinking, the beliefs you've been believing, the actions and behaviors that you've been taking, the feelings you've been feeling have all culminated in whatever is going on in your life right now. This is the reality that you have built for yourself through your previous actions, behaviors, and choices. And if you're not 100% happy where you're at right now, then what got you here won't get you there. What got you to this stage of where you're at in life is not going to work to get you to the level of your goal. And you might be like, yeah, I know that. I'm going to have to change my behavior. Well, great, except that everything about being a human being is like designed to resist change. We are not really built well to handle change. Our mind is programmed to perceive all unknowns as danger, as like mortal peril. Whether or not they really are, that's just kind of what happens. We go through a lot of elaborate tricks in our mind to avoid going through any unknown situations because we interpret pretty much all unknowns as danger. And that means that our brain will come up with a lot of excuses and rationalizations and ego defenses and reasons why you don't really need to change the things that you're asking yourself to change, which is really frustrating because we have this friction of a conscious level, a conscious part of us that wants the change. We know what we want. We know what we need to do to get it. We know that we want it. And then we have all of these other parts of us that are resisting doing that changing. And there's an Anais Nin quote I read when I was a little kid that changed my life. I was much too young to be reading her material, but that's a different conversation for a different day. And the quote is, "There came a time when the risk it took to stay tight inside the bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom." It's one of my favorite quotes, and I think about it all the time. And it's a very fancy way of saying we're unlikely to change until the pain of staying where we are gets greater than our fear of the unknown or of the discomfort we will have to face while changing. And that's like a valid thing. And so sometimes when you're considering changing, it's worth asking myself, am I in so much pain? Am I so uncomfortable doing what I'm doing and living the way that I'm living that it is now unbearable enough that I'm willing to endure the discomfort that I know it will take to change my behavior, change my thoughts, change my beliefs, do something different in order to get a new outcome? Anyone who's ever broken an addiction knows what this process is. Am I suffering enough to make it worth the discomfort that I'm about to go through for withdrawal, for getting clean, for changing my life? And sometimes the answer is no. And I think it's okay to be honest about that. I think it's okay sometimes to be like, yeah, this isn't ideal, but honestly, I'm not so uncomfortable yet that I'm willing to endure the discomfort of change. I'm willing to just be the degree of uncomfortable I am right now and like be honest about that and be like, I'm choosing my current level of suffering. This is where it's at. When there will be a time where it gets too painful, and I've decided I'm waiting for that to occur. Now, sometimes if we want to expedite that process, we can like psych ourselves into the pain. And I do this for myself sometimes, might seem like strange advice, but sometimes we do need the pain of staying where we are to outweigh the discomfort it will take to change. And so, one way that we can do that is by really playing out worst case scenarios of what will happen if I keep doing what I'm doing and follow it through until we hit the point where we feel the unbearableness of that outcome and say, okay, I am so terrified. Right now, I've increased my current pain. I am so terrified of that outcome that I have to change right now. I must change course because I am now very afraid of what I could see happening if I keep going with my current behaviors, my current choices, my current thoughts and beliefs. So, this might sound like a downer, but keep rocking with me. We've decided the place that I'm at now is too painful. I cannot stay here anymore. I must change, knowing that this change will be uncomfortable. And I think acknowledging that change will be uncomfortable is really vital, because when we don't acknowledge that, I think a lot of people like they're like, well, I really want this outcome. And so I'm really excited about the outcome. So that should be enough to get me through the change. And then they start the new behaviors, right? I'm going to the gym every morning and lifting weights. I'm um evaluating coaches that might be able to help me start my business. And I'm thinking about how much money I'm going to invest in coaching. I'm putting myself out there more and doing sales, even though I'm really scared of sales. Whatever the thing is that's going to get you to your goal, they start doing it and it's uncomfortable and it's hard. And then all of the brain stuff comes on board that says, stop this, go back to the thing we know, don't do the uncomfortable thing. We're in the unknown. This is scary. Get out of this scary place, get out of this discomfort, go back to what we know. And they stop, right? The change process. And it's like they're surprised almost that it is as uncomfortable, as difficult, and as challenging as it is, because they wanted the outcome. They wanted to do it. They elected to do this thing. Like they almost weren't expecting that once the motivation for that decision wore off, that they would be in a sea of unfamiliar and difficult. Change is difficult. The new behaviors are difficult. Asking yourself to do stuff that you don't like to do, that you think you currently don't enjoy doing, is difficult. And by planning for it to be difficult, we set ourselves up for success. And I think this might seem counterintuitive because I think I've also probably said other things, but like everyone needs different advice at different times, and different ways of working apply to different people. And I'm speaking to the collective. So if you're the kind of person who is more motivated and more likely to do things by working through an identity level shift that says, I actually enjoy this and find it easy, and you know how to do state change like that, or you're working with someone who can help you through state change like that, that's valid. But if you're the kind of person who knows that every time you've tried to do stuff, even if you really wanted the outcome and even if you really want to do it, once it gets hard or scary, you have a tendency to like feel defeated or feel like you're doing something wrong, or you must not be cut out for it, or like you just are kind of surprised that it's so much harder than you thought it would be and you back down. This might be a better approach for you, which is to go into it knowing, accepting, and welcoming that this process will be uncomfortable and that it's not supposed to be comfortable. It is a portal of change. It is not permanent. The discomfort will not be forever. It is a temporary discomfort required to get the results that you're looking for. And you will hit a point where you become acclimated to what you're doing, where it becomes more second nature, where it becomes more enjoyable, where you actually start looking forward to it, or where it just becomes normal to you. But in the beginning, it will probably just be challenging. And accepting that versus trying to run away from it. After accepting it, there's also leaning into it by recognizing that when you start changing your behavior, especially if this behavior change is doing the thing that you were doing is something that was like an instant gratification, pleasure, a numbing, a behavior, maybe it's like drinking too much alcohol, smoking cigarettes, hooking back up with your ex, something where you're like, I don't want to do this. The long-term payoff of this is not there. It's not good. But in the moment when I do it, it's soothing something for me. It's filling a need for me. There's a reason you're doing all the things you're doing. It's not just arbitrary. It's not just self-punishment. There is something that you're getting out of it. And usually what it is that it is distracting you from the problem you're not seeing. So it may be a problem, but it's a problem you're familiar with. It's a problem that feels accessible, safe, and comfortable to you. And it's a problem that you can focus on that is more manageable for you than the problem you're not dealing with, the problem you're not looking at. So maybe the problem that you're not looking at, or let me rephrase this. So the problem you haven't been looking at will be revealed when you start changing your behavior because now you're no longer doing the automatic coping or self-soothing thing that you were doing before. That's why it's uncomfortable. You're asking yourself to do this different behavior. And then all of a sudden, all of these feelings that you haven't been feeling are swimming to the surface and asking for your attention. You're getting cravings for that old thing. You are feeling desire for that old thing. Your brain will start sending you all kinds of weird signals like you need this thing, you're desperately craving it. Oh my gosh, I want it so bad. It's flashing pictures of the thing. What if you just did this? It's trying to convince you to go back to what it perceives as safety and comfort. In that moment, if you're prepared for it because you went into this knowing this is going to be challenging for me, and a primary reason it's going to be challenging for me is that the thing I'm really avoiding is going to be revealed in this portal of change. You have to allow it to bubble up and you have to deal with the real problem underneath, the root causes, the root desires, the itch that was never being scratched when you were going for the more coping level, unhealthy coping level behavior. So I'm going to give an example that's kind of lightweight, and it's for Instagram. So I didn't like how much I was on Instagram and how unconscious I was with using social media. I didn't like being on it in bed. I felt like it was disrupting my sleep. And once I accepted that this is something that is designed to be addictive, and that it's not a personal failing. There's not something wrong with me because I can't stop reaching for it. It's designed to be that way. It works on our brains a specific way. And that rather than trying to rely on willpower, the smarter thing to do would be to get it out of my space. And so for a long time, every night, I uninstalled Instagram at 7 p.m. I installed it every day at 11. I had it on my phone during business hours. And then at 7 p.m., I uninstalled Instagram for the night. And I did not install it again until I completed my morning routine the next day. What would happen is at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, I'd be reaching for my phone and I'd go to open Instagram and it's not there. So the desire is still there. The reach is still there. The behavior is still there. And then it's like the feeling when you're going upstairs and you think there's one more step than there is. And there's just a thud. Like I reach for it and I'm like, oh, it's not there. And then I have to go, what am I looking for right now? I'm in bed. I'm content. I'm happy. I'm warm. Why am I reaching for Instagram right now? Most of the time I was lonely and I was like, oh, what I really want is connection in this moment. I really want something that feeds me on a slightly deeper level. And Instagram will not actually give me connection, it will numb me. And so I will get like a sugar-free gum, like a diet cola version of the thing that I'm looking for, where it kind of convinces me during the time that I'm doing it that I'm getting a deeper need for connection met, but really what it is kind of like a false intimacy and a numbing. And then the second I close the app, nothing has really changed except now I'm tired and I'm upset with myself for being on the app at 11 o'clock in my bed. And so when I recognize, oh, what I'm really looking for in this moment is connection, the answer is, well, why don't I text one of my actual friends and say, I'm thinking about you. How was your day today? Or I just want you to know that I love you. And maybe they'll text back and maybe we'll have a brief interaction. Thing number one is that requires a little bit more of me. It requires a little bit more effort. I have to put myself out there. It requires a little bit of vulnerability. I have to open myself up to another real human being. I have to put forth a little bit of social energy. But even if my friend texts back and we have a very short few text message exchange interaction, I still will leave that feeling a little fuller because I got what I was really looking for, which was actual connection with a human being. So it took less of the stimulus to get me a deeper level of the fulfillment that I was really looking for. A lot of the changes that you're looking to make are going to require a little more of you than your unconscious or tune out or unproductive behaviors have required of you. That's not something to be avoided. The person that you're trying to become, that idealized goal version of yourself, is the person who puts in a little bit more effort, is the person who takes the long way, is the person who's willing to reach out for the connection, is the person who's willing to say, no, thanks, I don't need a drink. I'm really comfortable with myself at this party drinking water, is the person who loves getting up and going to the gym, knowing the workout will be hard, is the person who feels great about investing in business coaching because they're so clear and so determined for their business to be successful. And so by trying to avoid doing the thing that's going to take a little bit more of you, you are also avoiding building the grit, the determination, the muscle of becoming the person that you're trying to become. There is no way to get the outcome while avoiding the work, and there is no way to do the work while avoiding the discomfort of allowing the true need, the true pain, the true lack, the true desire to be revealed to you. There's just no way to do it. And so I don't say this as a downer or a disappointment. And I hope that it's landing in a way that it's intended, which is like empowering and also um honest. You are strong enough. Full stop. You're strong enough. You don't need to avoid discomfort because you're strong enough to withstand discomfort. You are strong enough to endure having your own emotions revealed to you. You're strong enough to see things for what they are when they arise and be present with them, whether it is sadness or shame or loneliness or disappointment or grief or whatever it is that comes up as this is the thing I've been avoiding. You're strong enough to address that thing head on. You're strong enough to resource yourself the way that you need to be resourced to move through those feelings in a deeper way so that the need is actually filled and you can stop reaching for things that kind of put a temporary veneer over the issue, but don't ever really solve it. You are strong enough to go through this portal of change to become the person that you want to become. You don't need it to be easier. I heard someone say once, like, stop praying for it to be easier, pray for the capacity to hold the challenge, right? Stop wishing that the change would be easy. Stop wishing that it would be automatic. Don't resist that it's going to be uncomfortable. Instead, accept that it will probably be challenging. It will probably be uncomfortable. And tell yourself, remind yourself, make it a mantra that it's not bigger than you. It's not tougher than you. It's not more powerful than you. It's not more capable than you. You are the container for the thing. You are the lighthouse and not the storm. You are capable of standing, seeing all of the truth, feeling all of your feelings, being present with all of the experience, and making more conscious choices toward the person that you want to become and the results that you want to get. And if you keep doing that, you will build the resilience, the capacity, the capability to be the person who gets the results that you're craving. And I'm out. Mic drop. I hope that this was helpful for you. Thank you so much for being here. If this was valuable for you, please let me know in the comments. Your comments mean so much to me. I reply to every single one. And while you're down there, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. So many people watch these videos but do not subscribe. I would love to keep in touch with you and see you here more often. I'm also going to put a link in the show notes. My first free live event of 2024 is starting tomorrow. It is a 3-day live event called Monetize Your Magic. If you've been wanting to start a profitable, heart-centered business, but you're not entirely sure where to start, Monetize Your Magic is going to be the place you want to be. I'm going to walk you step by step through taking the first steps you need to take to get your business off the ground. It's absolutely free to join. I'm going to put the link in the show notes. Even if you're seeing this later, you can still register and you'll get the replays. So it's worth attending and signing up. The link for that is going to be below. That's everything for me today. Okay, love you. Bye.